We're looking at a soggy holiday weekend ahead. The best times to get out and avoid the rain.
We're learning more about the two lawyers shot outside of the Wake County Courthouse today. An update on the condition of one of the victims, plus the heated court hearing that led to the shooting. And what's being done to stop North Carolina beaches from washing away? Lawmakers banned the structures designed to fight against it a long time ago. But now, with erosion accelerating, some want to reverse course. We got days of rain, two attorneys shot outside of the courthouse downtown, and your tax dollars could be going to January 6th Capitol rioters. Lots to talk about here at 7 o'clock on this Friday. We love having you with us. Thanks for being here. We want you to know every night that at 7 o'clock, we want your feedback. Send us some emails, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. What should the news be covering? I know you don't think we always get it right, so this is your opportunity to weigh in. Tell us what we should talk about here at 7 o'clock. First up, that much-needed rain is on the way, and it's going to stick around through the holiday weekend and well into next week. Meteorologist Kat Campbell has been tracking this for us. Kat, this is probably going to put a little damper on outdoor plans, but what's it going to look like this weekend as we move into next?
You're still going to be able to get outside. You're still going to have some dry time to go to your pool if it's opening this weekend, or go on a walk, whatever it is that you want to do. You'll just have to be flexible with the timing. For tonight, we've got our front lifting to the north. As it does so, it's going to bring some rain with it, and gradually as we head into the late night hours. But still, the bulk of the rain is going to stay to our west with this round. I lowered rain chances in the triangle tonight to about 40%. We do have rain right now around southern Johnston County, much of Sampson County and Clinton, and even a few spotty showers around Wayne County. But here's that rain in Charlotte that we're watching. This is going to be lifting to the north. Even though there's a lot of thunder and lightning now, it is going to be headed into a more stable area. So I wouldn't expect to see as much lightning. We've got a 40% chance of rain ramping up tonight. I'll walk you through what to expect tomorrow coming up.
Thank you, Kat. And keep an eye on the radar, everybody, as we head into the holiday weekend with the WRAL weather app. You can get important alerts there straight to your phone, including when rain is approaching your location. Just make sure you have those notifications turned on.
This is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center, and all new at 7 o'clock, we have what appears to be the first traffic death of the holiday weekend. I want to show you some video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker in Johnston County. This is at I-40 and 95. One person killed in this two-vehicle crash. For a while, it did close that ramp from 95 southbound to I-40 eastbound. That scene since has been cleared. We're trying to find out more about the victim's identity and also what led to that crash.
That's awful. All right, Brian, thank you. Breaking now here at 7 o'clock, a story we've been staying on top of all day for you in downtown Raleigh after two attorneys were shot this morning. Now we know who they are. The arrest warrants say that the victims were Mary Harris and Jeffrey Whitley. They worked for Fox Rothschilds. The suspect's name is Gwendolyn White. White's been booked now in jail. She's charged with 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder. WRL's Carly Haynes is live outside of the courthouse for us tonight with everything we've been able to uncover. Carly.
And Dan, we're also standing in front of the alleyway where those two people were shot. This is where it all happened. And earlier today, Raleigh police said that the 3 people involved in this situation, that includes the shooting suspect as well as the 2 people who were shot, were all in the same courtroom this morning. They were all tied to the same case. And I want to show you some photos of the victims that we were able to retrieve from the Fox Rothschild website. This lists Jeffrey Whitley and Mary Harris. WRAL has gotten in touch with Harris's father, who said that she is out of surgery and is recovering. We're still working to learn the condition of Whitley. Police have only said that he is stable. And there were other people inside the courthouse at the time this happened. A lot of civil matters happening. The building went into lockdown as police brought White into custody and aided the victims. A witness told us what she heard.
Just arguing, just sounded like loud, somebody arguing, but it didn't sound like multiple people. You just heard one person yelling and then lots of shots.
The courthouse closed early today around 1 o'clock as a result of this police investigation. Dan.
Thank you to Carly for that live update for us tonight. Stay with us as this story continues to evolve. We're going to bring you the latest with team coverage on the news at 10 and 11 here on Fox 50 and WRAL. From pardons to payments, President Donald Trump has already pardoned January 6 Capitol rioters, but now it's possible they could get restitution as well with your tax dollars, almost $2 billion of them, with what Trump and his administration is calling the Anti-Weaponization Fund. It's money intended to compensate people who say that they were unfairly targeted by the federal government for political reasons. Now, the January 6 defendants are kind of getting the most attention here in this conversation, but they're not the only ones that could get involved. It could also include Trump allies who have been investigated, conservative activists, or theoretically, Trump critics or activists on the left. I mean, anyone who can make a convincing case. Of course, Democrats are saying that they believe this is a horrendous idea. They're calling it a political slush fund to reward Trump supporters. Some Republicans agree. They say that too, like North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis, a Republican who has been known to speak out against the president.
You see where this would head? These people don't deserve restitution. Many of them deserve to be in prison. Some of them deserve the pardon because they were over-prosecuted. But this is, this is just stupid on stilts.
All right. Now, I will say this. We know that not all of America, not all Americans are on the same page when it comes to the severity of January 6th. That day has been debated in courtrooms, TV studios, and living rooms ever since. I mean, I've tuned into many of those debates. I've had a few around the dinner table myself. I've heard reasonable arguments about the guilt of some people, like those in the back of the crowd that day, or even some of the folks who were milling around inside, perhaps unaware of exactly what was happening elsewhere. But some of what happened on that day, what we saw with our own eyes, you saw yourself, is much harder to defend. Now, look, I know you've seen that footage more times than you'd like over the past few years, but it is important here. Some of those people were pardoned, and it is possible that next they could get paid by you. Of course, lawmakers still need to vote on all of this. And tonight, Will Doran is getting a pulse from our local lawmakers. All right, well, let's kind of take it back to the beginning because we've been talking about January 6th. This is not exclusive to people who were at January 6th. It's really anyone who feels they were wronged by the government or the Department of Justice, correct?
Yeah, Dan, I mean, Hunter Biden could ask for this money, or James Comey, or, any random drug dealer who's ever faced a federal indictment, too.
So it's clear they're going to need a filtering process. How will they make a decision to who they think is justified for a payout and who's not?
Well, the idea is to set up this panel who would essentially review all the claims that come in, and those people would be Trump allies that are picked by him and his Department of Justice. They would look at your claims and say, okay, we do agree that you were wronged, and this is how much money we think you should get. And again, there's nearly $2 billion in this pot of money. It's a lot of money they're proposing.
What keeps me from lying, from looking at a screen image of January 6th and saying, hey, that's me, there I am, and here's some reasons why I deserve to get paid? I mean, what do we know about the process, the vetting, what they're going to do to investigate all these claims?
This is still really in the early stages. I don't know if even they have thought about a lot of these questions, but I think the idea is really for people to say, okay, look, I was convicted for being at January 6th, or I was charged, I was investigated, and I had to pay for a lawyer. I lost time at work. Maybe I was fired from my job, things like that. And this is why I deserve this restitution.
Look, this is unprecedented. It is highly controversial. Have you been hearing from any of the elected leaders or people running from office in North Carolina?
Yes, of course, we heard from Thom Tillis earlier, and we also heard from the Republican who is seeking to replace him in D.C., Michael Whatley. He said that he completely disagrees with Tillis on this. He is very much in favor of this. He says the January 6ers were persecuted by the Biden administration, that there was weaponization going on. He is very much behind Trump on this effort. I also heard from Roy Cooper, the Democratic candidate. Cooper is strongly against this. He says that he is running to lower costs and end the chaos, corruption, and rampant self-dealing in Washington, D.C. that North Carolinians are sick of.
And it will be lawmakers that ultimately decide if this goes through or not. They need to vote on it.
Exactly. It could be Thom Tillis voting on this, or if this doesn't get passed before the November elections and it goes into next year, it could be either Roy Cooper or Michael Whatley voting on it, which is why we reached out to them. We also reached out to our entire congressional delegation that's in office right now, have all of their responses that we got back on our website at the NC Capitol section of WRAL.com.
We'll take a look. Thank you, Will.
Thanks.
North Carolina banned new hardened shoreline structures decades ago. Now, as erosion accelerates here in the Outer Banks, why some lawmakers are wanting to reverse course.
You have seen it time and time again, especially if you've been watching us here on WRAL. Those homes collapsing all along the North Carolina coast as the waves erode the sand. Other homes are being moved away from the water so they don't collapse as well. Some video here taken this week in Buxton. This is extremely difficult and expensive work, you probably guessed, to move an entire house. And they moved 5 homes total recently, hoping to keep them from the growing tally. In the last 8 months, we've seen 19 oceanfront homes in Buxton collapse. We have covered each and every one of them extensively. Some of them fall into the ocean together. Others are falling in over the period of the same day. Now, this doesn't just destroy someone's dream home or retirement dream. It also causes horrible and expensive pollution, everything from rusty nails and insulation to septic tanks in the water and washed up on our beaches up and down the coast. We reported this week that Buxton just finished another round of cleanup, cleaning debris and reopening a stretch of beach there. But the thing is, the work is never truly done because the ocean will never truly stop coming for those properties on the shoreline. We've seen some remedies for this, moving those homes. That's one of them. Also, beach renourishment, which is another expensive option to bring in sand from out in the water. But now there's an old idea that's new again, to bring back jetties. Now, many of you might be wondering, what's a jetty again? Well, this is how the National Park Service defines it. Another type of shore perpendicular structure placed adjacent to tidal inlets and harbors to control inlet migration and minimize sediment deposition within the inlet. So in other words, one of these. All right, it's one of those things. Just a long kind of line of rocks and concrete or wood. You might have seen them if you've visited Florida, if you've ever been to the Northeast. This particular one here is from New Jersey. Tonight, WRAL's Liz McLaughlin explains why this can make a difference or why it won't.
These groins here in Buxton were put in more than 50 years ago by the Navy to keep sand in place around the lighthouse. Now, as the shoreline keeps retreating, hardened structures like this are at a center of a debate about how North Carolina should protect its shores.
For decades, North Carolina has largely banned new jetties and groins. Now, Republican lawmakers want to loosen those restrictions to help communities battling rapid erosion.
I think it's probably a step in the right direction. We've got very valuable real estate that is falling into the ocean.
Few places highlight that concern more than Buxton. 19 homes have collapsed into the ocean here since September. Many residents believe structures like this deserve another look.
Yeah, I did heavy marine construction for 43 years up in New Jersey.
Chris Lipset is a construction worker and Outer Banks resident. He's seen it play out in neighboring states along the East Coast where hardened structures are more common.
I think the groin will help, but I don't think it's going to cure everything.
There are only remnants now of the 1960s groins, and erosion is rapidly accelerating. Evidence to some locals that the structures need to be rebuilt.
No doubt, they've certainly deteriorated. I think it's important to recognize that those jetties were put in because of erosion at that point. This erosion has been going on for decades and decades.
Reed Corbett with ECU's Coastal Studies Institute says the debate isn't as simple as adding more rocks. While groins can help build up sand on one side, they can also starve the beach below.
And so is it that we want to protect X number of homes? Is it that we want to protect that recreation beach or the ecology of the system? You would likely come at a different answer depending on how you thought about those different trade-offs.
That bill is still moving through the legislature. This debate really reflects a broader question facing coastal communities nationwide. Should we defend the shoreline or adapt and retreat inland as seas continue to rise? In Buxton, I'm Liz McLaughlin, WRAL News.
Thank you to Liz. We should say the proposal does not automatically allow these new jetties to be built. Individual projects would still have to go through a lot of environmental reviews and permitting and all that sort of stuff before construction could begin. But we'll stay on top of it for you. It's time now for another another episode of Drought Daily. Why did I say drought that way? I'm not sure. Drought Daily. How about that? This is a segment where we answer your questions about the ongoing drought in North Carolina. And this time the question is coming from me. I'm allowed to do that. I anchor the newscast here. I can ask you a question, and I know Kat Campbell personally, so I'm going to send it over to her, Kat. You know, I've been listening to you for a while now, and often you've said what pulls us out of these droughts is a tropical system, but that's a lot of rain on dry soil, and it can create flooding. So we look at now the start of some light rain this week, kind of getting a little heavier possibly in the next week. Is this the perfect storm? Is this a good way to kind of start to inch out of the drought?
It's a good way to start inching out of the drought. I wouldn't say it's the perfect storm. If I could magically wave a wand and fix this drought, what I would want would be an upper level low, and that would lead to steady all day type of rain events, and we could see, you know, several consecutive ones in that kind of a setup, unlike more scattered stuff that we're going to see. So it's not perfect, but you're right. It's definitely a step in the right direction, and I would say in some ways it is better than a tropical system, and then you don't have to worry about it messing up the coast. You still can enjoy the beach this weekend if you want, since it's not a washout. So let's talk about your forecast for the coast this weekend. Carolina Beach is looking good today. We do have a moderate risk for rip currents, though, over the course of the holiday weekend. Highs will be in the low 80s tomorrow at the coast. Storm chances are not that high at the coast tomorrow. You really should be able to get in some time outside. It would be a narrow window where you may have to dip inside for a little bit. Just keep your WRAL weather app handy and check in on the radar. I promise you, the radar is a much better tool than your hour-by-hour rain chances on your phone. If you can get used to using that, you're going to have a much better time this summer. Sunday, highs are in the upper 70s to lower 80s. Scattered.
Well, you know what they say, when one door closes, another door opens. And that's the case for NC State baseball fans and baseball players after Elliott Avon announced he's retiring after 30 years. But now there is a new coach looking to take over the legacy. Veteran coach Chris Hart will take over that program. He's going to be the 17th head coach in its history. He's been a part of the Wolfpack baseball staff for the past 22 seasons. 11 of those years he spent as the associate head coach. Hart says he is thrilled and honored about the position in a place he calls home. But 3 decades with the Wolfpack is a long time. Avon certainly hit some milestones over the course of those years as well. He actually went to NC State. He won 1,100 games. He brought the Pack to a few College World Series appearances. He was the National Coach of the Year in 2003. He served as a coach for Team USA in the 2004 University Games. The new baseball clubhouse is named after him. Avon also started the Victory Over Cancer game, a baseball game played to support pediatric cancer research. It has raised tens of thousands of dollars over the years. So yeah, Elliott Avon has been much more than just a baseball coach in this community. We found a story in the WRAL archive from Avon's early years with the Wolfpack. I want to show it to you now. Thank you for watching WRAL News at 7 o'clock on this Friday. Have a great weekend as we leave you with this, your Friday moment of nostalgia.
Georgia Tech and NC State play 3 games this weekend for the ACC title, although Florida State could slip in and grab a share of the crown. The Jackets hold a 1-game lead over the Pack heading into the showdown in Atlanta.
We're just looking to go out there and play solidly in all facets, but I think our pitching right now is carrying us through a lot of games, and I think, if our bats come back to where they were that week where we were scoring 10, 11 runs a game, I think we're going to have a good time in Atlanta.
No matter what happens in Atlanta, Coach Elliott Avon has the utmost respect for what his team has accomplished. The Pack's won 20 of 21 games and 13 straight ACC encounters.
To see them to have this kind of success, you're mostly happy for the players. They deserve it. They're the best group of kids I've ever been around in 16 years, and I'm just mostly happy for the guys.
Win 2 out of 3 this weekend, and an ACC title will bring even more happiness. Todd Gibson, WRAL TV5 Sports.